Hi there. So today we are going to talk about dictionaries in Python 3, and last we talked about tuples and lists. So dictionaries differ from tuples and lists in many ways, and are some sort of good data structure to hold data, and it has a lot of functions in it. And the first thing you need to know about tuple is how to make it. I'll just start from there. Sorry, not a tuple, dictionary. So let's first name our dictionary, or dic1 equals, okay, I'll use a different name. Okay, uh, d1. Okay, d1 equals, and I open curly brackets and I close curly brackets. So this is a declaration of an empty dictionary called d1. So what will be is d1 will be a dictionary and it will be empty, and we can add values into this. So we define a key. The key is, let's say, element 1, and we give its value by putting the colon, and we say 1. Okay, and thereafter we put a comma to separate two entries, and we say element 2 and put colon and say 2. So let's stop over here and see what we made. I press enter, and d1 has two values, two entries, that is element 1 is 1 and element 2 is 2. Now remember, when you talked about lists and tuples, they had indexes. Okay, indexes that start from 0 and carry on, but these don't have indexes. For example, these are the indexes themselves. We got element 1, element 2. We can access these values using these keys. So I say d1 element 1, okay, this a small printing mistake or typing mistake. I say d1 element 1, it's 1. So I say d1 element 2 is 2. So when we use lists and tuples, rather than giving a object, now over here we say element 1, which is a string, it's the key of 1. What we had to give was an integer that starts from 0 and goes on to the number of elements that are in the list or tuple. So that's one of the main ways dictionaries differ from lists and tuples. So if you look into give a index as usual, let's say d1 0, you're going to have an error because there is no key defined as 0. Okay, so because it looks into a key named 0, but it doesn't have it over here. What it all has is element 1 and element 2. And talking about keys, there is an easy way to find out what type of keys you have. So I'll put d1 press dot, and I'll wait for a while, and a list will pop up as usual, and I can, oops, let's go to the list back, d1 dot, and over here we have keys. Okay, the d1 each dictionary has a function called keys, and when it's called, it will output the keys that it has as an, well, it looks like a list to me, whatever. Over here you have the well, all the keys you have in the d1 dictionary. And thereafter let's just try to play with some of its functions. I'm going to get the menu once again. Clear is something you want to do at last. Let's talk about it lastly. So the copy function. The copy function comes handy when you want to make another element, another object as d1. For example, I say d2 equals d1 dot copy, okay, and d2 will be having a equal number, or actually something like a clone of d1. But if I change d1, I say d1 element 3 equals 3, and if I say d1 and if I say d2, you see that d1 and d2 are, well, different. They were the same, but they were the same because they were kind of copied or cloned over here, and over here I add a element 3 sorry, and now they are different. But if I make another clone, not a clone, but if I just say d1 d3 equals d1, okay, so if I say d3 equals d1, and if I press d3, it will be the same as d1. And now I'm going to change d1 by adding another element to it, element 4, equals 4. And if I say d1, over here you have element 4 which has been added. And how about d3? Okay, it also has element 4. Now if you want to make something exactly similar to a list or a dictionary, I'm getting this too mixed up, what you have to do is to use the copy function, or if you use this equal function, what it will do is it will make a reference to d1 rather than make a whole new data structure for it. So whenever d1 changes, d3 will also change. That's the result we see over here. Okay, think about it, it'll be a little bit tricky if you're new to programming, but it's generally the same way in a lot of programming languages. And we talked about keys. We also have values. If you want to know what type of values this data structure holds, we can say d1 dot values, and here it says 1 2 3 4. That's the values that we have. If you would like to see, we say d1, you got element 1 is 1, element 2 is 2, element 3 is 3, and element 4 is 4, where all these element keywords are the keys of it, and 1 2 3 4 are the values. So here are the values, and d1 dot values will return a list of values. And let's see what we have over here. Okay, we got the get function, or from keys. Okay, that's cool. From keys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say d1 it's like dictionary dic dot. Right, okay, I got these things mixed up a bit. So the from keys thing is actually, you can call it using d1, but it's actually a dictionary function. So I can say dict and from keys, and I say d1, and I can give a value for it. Okay, the d1 is a iteratable dictionary, and if I say value equals a, what you'll see is d1 will be taken and all its values will be changed to the value we provide. Okay, so we have a's replacing the integers that we gave. So the same thing can be done using d1 dot from keys d1, but anyways you have to give this value d1 over here. Even if you use d1 or dic, you have to give the iteratable dictionary over here, and thereafter you don't have to give the default value. If you don't give the default value, what it will use, the default value is none. So it's going to say none, nothing was entered as a default value. So it will be just a whole list of, well, keys. And let's look into the list once again. And we got get function. Get function will get you a, well, key, a value for a key. Okay, so let's say element1, or is it a key for a value, right? In valid syntax. Oops. Element1 will return 1. Yeah, okay, I was right. Element2 will return 2, and likewise. So the get function, what it will do is it will retain the value of a key. What if we say d1.get element n? Okay, just for the fun of it, it doesn't return anything. Why? It's because d1 over here does not have a element n key. So what we can do is we can say d1.get element n, and we can say -1 or something like that. So this second argument that you can, which is optional, will decide what happens if this key is not there. So we don't have element n already, so, and when you get it using the d1.get, because element n is not there, it will return -1. But if the element is there, what it will return is the value, not -1. So this is the value that should be returned if this key is not found. So that's what the get function does. And if we are to look into some of the other functions, we got items. Okay, items will return a set of tuples, where the first is the key and the second is, well, the value. And we got d1 dot keys, we looked into it, and we have this pop and pop item. So let's look into the pop. What the pop does is you can remove a value corresponding to a key. So I say element element in, right now element 2, and when I enter, it will return 2 because element 2's value is 2, and if we go back to d1, we don't have element 2, so we have element 1, element 3, and element 4. It's because d1.pop removed element 2. And you can also use d1.pop without any arguments, like this. Okay, it's not d1.pop. Okay, I'm wrong, I'm very sorry. So let's look into the other one, d1.pop item. And the thing is, unlike the d1.pop, you can just pop an item without a key. So when I say d1.pop, what it does is it returns a tuple that has element 1 and 1 as the value. So what it does is it removes the first element in the dictionary, that is element 1, and returns it as a well, what do you call it, tuple. Okay, so that's about the pop item. Oh, well, I think there's something else to it as well. Let's see, pop. Yeah, no, you don't have anything else. I'm mixing up things. Well, how I figure out things around is by going to its well, menu and seeing what it has. Let's save in memory in my brain. So we looked into pop item, and this is set default. Okay, so last time when we said get and gave no value, it didn't return a value if there was, well, not in the list. But if we gave the second argument, which is the default value to return, if the element is not there, it will return that if it's not in the list. But if we want to see if it's there and return the value, if not, insert it into the dictionary. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say element n, and it's going to be n. Okay, so what I'm going to say is element n is n, and when I enter, you see it returns n. It's a value of element n. And now if you look into the dictionary, you have element 10. Okay, so now we've got element 3, element 4, and element 10. What the setDefault does is something like the get. Okay, the get will return a value of a key, but what this will do is, it will, if the element is not in the dictionary, it will insert it and then return the value. Okay, so if you want to check things out, you can say d1 dot set default, set default, and you can say element 3. The value is returned just like the get statement, but the advantage once again is that if it's not there, if element 3 is not there, it will add it and get the value. Okay, that's about set default. And let's see what we have next. We got the update and values. Okay, so I talked about values, and what we're going to do is about update. And before I use the update, I'm going to make another dictionary called d2 equals let's say name is Ziyan and age is 25. Okay, and I'm going to say d1 dot update, and I'm going to give d2. And if I'm going to look into d1, you'll say we have element 3, 4, and element 10, and also d2, which is name Ziyan and age 25 in here. So what the update does is, it takes the argument and kind of appends it to the existing dictionary. So update will add things to the dictionary, copy will copy items to a dictionary, set default will search and return a value. If it's not there, it will kind of add it and return the value. And we talked about the pop. What the pop does is, when you give an argument, over here we say pop element 2, it will remove element 2 and return its value. So if you had n items in the dictionary before using pop, after using pop, if the elements, if the index is there, you'll have n-1 entries. So pop, what it does is, it removes an item and returns its value. That's it in short. And we got pop item, which will remove the first element in the dictionary, and the return result will be a tuple, and it will have the key and the value for it. And the get element, the get function, will return the value, and if the first argument is all that is provided, and if the key is in the dictionary, it will return the value. If the key is not in the dictionary, it will return nothing. Okay, so we have that situation over here. I guess we say get element 10, but the query returns nothing. And but if we say get element 10 comma -1, that is the second argument, if the key is not there, it will return the value. So when I say d1.getElement10, previously it used to be nothing, but now it's -1. But yet if I give a key that exists, what it will do is it will return the existing value of the key. And that's about the get. And we got from keys. From keys is actually kind of well, copying a, it's kind of similar to copying a what you call dictionary, but rather than having both the keys and values copied, what the from keys does is it will copy the keys and set a default value um, well, to the result. Okay, over here we say dict.fromkeys d1.a. What it will do is it will take d1 and copy all of its keys, and their values will be character A. Okay, so over here we looked into how we can add an element to the dictionary. And if you want to delete a dictionary, as we have discussed before, all you have to do is you need to use del and say d1, and d1 is no more there. So if you want to remove something from existence completely, you can use the del command and the variable name. And well, I believe that's about dictionaries in Python. And well, this concludes the dictionaries lesson for Python 3 Plus by myself. And if there are any questions, please post them in the below section and as a comment, and I'll try to help you out. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.